Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? What is a sensor? Sensorality, sensors, censorship. So that was our big linguistic conceptual progress. Again, a direct iteration of sensor 3 times with the explicit statement that censorship with a C contains sensor with an S, and you can very easily see that iteration of the S's. Those iteration elements is what we've called them. And so that is linguistically and conceptually where we are at, going to derive this definition, show this unique connection linguistically, the letters, to some sort of unique operative word. Again, velocity, rapid movement, energy, movement potential. So we have this overall conceptualization, and then we have letters and words assigned to that conceptualization and experience. And so linguistically, you have concepts where it's, again, you have these working definitions, but these two words paired to each other. What is velocity? Rapid movement. Emphasizing the rapid is the operative word to movement, or is the uniqueness to velocity, right? Velocity means rapid movement. Energy, movement potential, our most poignant example. That is, the most fundamental concept of fundamental physics, not understood throughout history. The point being is this: we have a conceptualization. What is censorship? And then we have why do we spell it? How do we spell censorship, and why? That's really just what we're working through. We should be getting there on a personal level. Again, it's this overall Halley's Comet comes around once every 8 years. This natural iteration process refines or completes, or again, there's some section of completability about every 7 to 8 years. And that's just, again, historically, right, we renormalize everything. Speciality, special with an ITY, a bunch of people run around, our culture develops, everything is dynamic, definitions change. We are explicitly showing all of the logical linguistic implications of introducing a new definition. But that definition is already established by this differentiation process of systems tending to optimal efficiency. Everybody running around talking about how the world works. And so we move along with our steps. In addition to the sensorality, sensors, censorship, what is a letter to a letter? It's another direct iteration conceptually, right? All of the elements, right? Are letters elements? Put that up as a short video. Again, the syllable is the fundamental unit of meaning. An element is a fundamental unit. Elementality is irreducibility, or elementality is an irreducible unit as a natural definition. But what is a letter? These shapes that we use to represent sounds, specifically syllables, the unit of meaning, to a letter. Hey, I'm going to write a love letter. Hey, I'm going to write a business letter. Right, we have that direct conceptualization, a letter, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so on and so forth, and then a letter, more comprehensive linguistic structure of paragraphs and greetings and something, right? You get what I'm saying. So that is what is at the front of our minds, and we continue on with our steps. Is effort effective? Direct iteration. What is bracing to tracing? Sensorality embraces emotion. Sensorality braces motion. Direct iteration. And again, to stabilize this definition, to show this complete iteration, we have range and we have base. And mathematically, we're still kind of figuring out what, in our chronology there, I was also thinking today, again, you take the derivative of a function. Is that a proper chronology? What is differentiation to functionality? What is the function of differentiation? And so that might be some sort of, again, overall, we have just developed this context in which we have introduced syllability, letters, what is sensorality, and because we haven't ironed out and exhausted all of these linguistic logical implications, on a direct personal level, I just have this feeling of inconsistency, but frankly, on a research level, it's just something to do. It's a problem to solve. But we just have this overall general structure introduced from rhythm to algorithm, which, again, there's no verb in that. Again, I think the whole structure will resolve. But this unresolved feeling of just, again, there's something to work on. There's this natural, there's no natural contradictions, but going from this level of generality to specificity, more syllables to less syllables, again, there's logical out of bounds, right? There are wrong answers. And so we're showing this consistency, we're showing this containment, but really, again, what is the chronology of differentiation and functionality? Overall, we're showing this definiteness of syllability. It's the general comprehensive logic of what is a function, again, I think. But really, what is the relationship of functionality and differentiation? Moving along. But point being is we have emotion and motion for this complete iteration. We show some sort of, again, domain change. Or again, we have syllability in the emotion domain, and then we derive down into motion, a fundamental physical definition established by empirical things. We pointed that out a bunch moving along. Mechanics are dynamic. Is motion mobile? Is movement mobile? Sensorality is mobility utility. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality utilizes humility, direct iteration. What is humor to humility? Filtration is the utility of a sensor, natural definition. Sensorality is inventory. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is inventory an invention? What is invention to convention? What is invention to contention? What is completeness to competence? Direct iteration, again, iterations of the word compete. Sensorality is complete competition competence. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is petition competence. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is a petition a letter? What are letters to a letter? Sensorality filters letters. Direct iteration. Worth emphasizing, again, we obviously introduced that even theorem, but again, we're reducing the entire linguistic structure that I've articulated. And so that is, again, that's complete, right? That's, if I said, without the introduction, right, if I just said, what are letters to a letter, you would get that complete context of the two unique things of letter versus letter. Sensorality filters letters. Direct iteration. Are letters oral? I also noticed something, again, sometimes my voice like cracks. Again, that's another like function of rhythm. It's like you're talking and then you kind of like break it and then you restart talking and it like cracks a little bit. Definitely some sort of function of this discreteness and rhythm for sure. Are letters oral? What is competency to frequency? Sensorality filters frequency. Direct iteration. What is frequency to vibration? What is frequency to temperature? Is filtering filling? Filling completes. Is a competition a match? What is deletion to competition? What is competence to tension? What is competency to tendency? What is competency to fluency? What is competency to complacency? Sensorality is a sense of competence. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality senses competence. Direct iteration. Synchronicity is harmonic. What is synchronicity to symphony? What is symphony to sympathy? Sensorality is sympatheticality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is frequency to vibrancy? Is competence vibrant? Sensorality filters competence. Direct iteration. Is vitriol vibrant? Is charge vibrant? What is dynasticality to dynamicality? Sensorality is diagnosticality. Sensorality is prognosticality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is diagnosis to prognosis? What is prognosis to duration? What is dichotomy to duality? Are dynasties dynamic? Sensorality is iron ore. Natural definition, direct iteration, direct physical thing. Sensorality is ironic orality, direct linguistic logical expansion. Again, linguistic containment. Iron ore, ironic orality. Sensorality is a sense of irony. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is irony to entropy? What is space to entropy? Worth revisiting this. Again, obviously the historical definition of entropy is dependent on space, but space is nothing, like directly, literally. And so, but it's still, the intuition holds where, again, if you have more square footage in your house, again, we've pointed it out explicitly, you say square footage and surface area, not a volume measurement for how much space your house has. But if you have a more surface area in your house, there's more potential to tend towards inefficiency, right? You can put things, there's just more room for places to be. Don't need, that's fine, it's true. But fundamental theorem of physics, sensorality is entropy potential. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is potential to material? Is ironic iconic? Direct iteration. And so again, obviously the caveat is entropy is the inverse of energy. Energy is movement potential. That is the big thing that has not been understood throughout history. And so we have this definition, again, the microstates, which again, it's just this relationship of space and entropy, which is fine, even though again, space is nothing. It's just a fundamentally wrong thing for now. But again, at no point, it's just, again, the overall conceptualization, you can say all of the wrong words, but if the intuition's right, it doesn't really matter. Again, unless you're like proving something. Is ironic iconic? Direct iteration. What is conicality to cyclicality? Are cones cycles? Cones are funnels. Cones are fun. Are funnels cycles? Right, a dunce hat, cap, right? Your hat for a birthday party, a fun hat is a cone. It is what it is. Nice. Are funnels cycles? Is malignant contagious? Sensorality is contagiosity. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is curiosity contagious? What is curiosity to density? Relativity is contextual. Natural definition, again, if you met a different species, they wouldn't need any words from planet Earth to describe the same physical processes around them. Everything that we have defined is just dependency on well-defined physical process, fundamental functionality differences, and then frequency of use. Work is work, power is power, energy is energy, being is being, having is having. Go learn a language. You learn being verbs and having verbs the most readily. That's how a lot of languages conjugate the past tense to use brain cancer linguistic terms. But overall, all language linguistic structure is local. Momentum in its entirety is local. Yeah. Relativity is contextual. Sensorality is continentality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is content to continent? Like the big landmass. A continent is a landmass. Again, another natural consensus presentation. What is mass? Well, land. What is a landmass? Isn't land already mass? So like, what are we doing there? Again, it's just this very clearly this overall empirical manifestation of linguistic proliferation should be painstakingly apparent right now, right? You don't know something and then you put a bunch of adjectives around it. You make a list and you say, except for this, except for that. You just proliferate if you don't know exactly what you're saying. We have definitive numeric bounds. Fundamental stability of 2, maximum iterations 7 to 8. And so what are we eliciting when we say a continent is a land mass? What is land to mass? What is land to load? I think my brother might have came home, but we are keeping on. Sensorality is load mode. Natural definition, direct iteration. Does mode vibrate? Fundamental theorem, mode is frequent. Mode is frequency. Natural definition. Emphasizing frequency, fundamental physical intuition, mode, mathematical logical, direct linguistic iteration, mode, most. Voice just cracked in. But mode is frequency. What is mode to mass? What is mode to measurement? Is a continent a measurement? Is sentiment a measurement? Sensorality is a sentiment measurement. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, still don't have a place to work, but we're going to finish. Fundamental theorem of physics, sensorality is a sense of rhythm. Natural definition, direct iteration. That is our direct linguistic logical conceptualization connection, letter by letter. Again, for now, it's not reduced, but from rhythm to algorithm, what is sensorality, connecting our two big presentations. Sense is rhythmic. What is rhythmicality to sensibility? Is tensing algorithmic? Is tensing agentic? Again, the agentic supercycle is classic. Sensorality is rhythming. A sensor is a rhythmer. Natural definition, direct iteration, and two kind of cumbersome sensor and rhythmer. Again, the spelling's on your screen. But a sensor is a sensor. And so now we have those two forms that we proved weren't words way back when, probably like one something. But that's an explicit step. Natural definition, direct iteration does not exist. Because again, we're limiting this overall syllability. And so I think, again, it's either musicality has some big relevance in the overall context of music, in fundamental physics, obviously, but then like logical out of bounds. Again, this, because we have this uniqueness of growth, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 2 to 5 to 7, or whatever. Again, the numerics are trivial and apparent. But this logical out of bounds, a sensor is a sensor, the two wrong spellings, again, is a direct step, and it's something to do with this logical out of bounds is how we define or show this complete iteration. Sensorality is a synthesizer. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is rhythm to size? What is vibration to size? What is size to sight? Sensorality is the size of the prize. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is C to Z? Price, prize is the linguistic context of where that's directly coming from. But again, the C to S, S to Z iteration, very clear. English in English, or English in England, English in America. Overall, it's this refinement of consonants around this fundamental geometric identity. E is the base, the mode, the most. A is the inverse. But then, again, the C to the K, so what is K to Z? Just again, these direct letter relations come explicitly from more conceptual over starting place. Sensorality is the supply of suppliers. Natural definition, direct iteration, and again, that's that kind of natural form, the boss of all bosses, the proof of all proofs, the table of all tables. Just the best of the best, the cream of the crop, creme de la creme. Sensorality supplies, direct iteration. What is sinus to sense? Sinus minus. Is sense certain? Certain curtain. Sensorality is behind the curtains. Natural definition, direct iteration. Brad was behind Jen's beef curtains. Direct iteration. Are curtains sensors? Sensorality is a curtain call. Natural definition, direct iteration. Are curtains centered? Sensorality is a centerpiece. Natural definition, direct iteration. Price, piece. Sensorality is a piece of peace. Natural definition, direct iteration. Emphasizing the vowel structure. Sensorality redeems. Sensorality is redemptionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is redemption to absorption? Sensorality is a redeeming quality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Redemption is encouraging. Coupons are redeemed. Natural definition. Redeeming to redemption. Again, some of these like word forms where it's like, how do we go from redeem to redemption? Worth pointing out, nothing else to say. Are coupons discounts? What is economy to chronology? Again, direct logical derivation of, we had that video, the chronology of economics, where it's just like part of one of the book series. So that one's not currently on the website, but that's directly that. We already addressed that explicitly. Sensorality is oncology economy. Natural definition, direct iteration, voice cracked again, nice. Does cancer leach? What is speech to leach? Is a telephone a sensor? Do telephones vibrate? I think that's that one checks out. What is a telephone to a mobile? Pressure is essential, direct iteration. Is pressure quintessential? Is essence quintessential? Is quintessentiality appreciated? Again, pointing out essence and necessity, or like necessity contains essence. Right? Is necessity quintessential? Does essence appreciate? Does depreciation descend? Depreciation depresses. What is pressing to depressing? Sensorality is depressionality. Sensorality is impressionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is a first impression. Sensorality is why first impressions matter. And we have ordinality in there, first, a natural consensus phrase, first impression. Natural definition, direct iteration. Impressions are consequential. What is an impression to a distraction? What is pressure to traction? What is distraction to contraction? What is contraction to contradiction? Sensorality contracts contradiction. Direct iteration. Sensorality is a tradition of contradiction. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing tradition and contradiction. Direct iterations. Is history traditional? Is tradition contextual? Contextuality is conditionality. Natural definition, condition, contradiction. Is hypocrisy contradiction? Sensorality is hypocrisy. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is hypocrisy to irony? Sensorality is ironicality. Sensorality is hypocriticality. Iconicality is critical. Natural definition. Is hypocrisy classy? Direct iteration. Again, that's just where we finished up with the derivation. Conceptually, like I feel like we gotta be really close. But my rights continue to be violated. My brother definitely just came home, so we're gonna say hey to him. But again, my life quality remains at zero. Why can't somebody give me a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work? The value that I've provided is profound, overwhelming, and direct. That is what I have for now. Please treat me like a human being. Nobody will, to my state. Every charge, every case, all of the time, yesterday. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.